Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
Welcome to another stocked and loaded episode of the Sports Card Nation podcast, the show that brings you all the important hobby news, discussions, debates, opinions, info, and interviews with key hobby and sports dignitaries. Also, if you're good, you know we are going to give away something. Now, here's the guy that wanted the cards more than the gum. John Newman.
What is up, Sports Card Nation? Episode 92 of the podcast. Best be Friday. Back again. Happy to be back. Hope everyone is doing terrific during current events and times. Great show. I know I always say that. Probably always will. But have a great show. Have a great guest on. Mr. Ken Goldin from Goldin Auctions. Having an incredible 2020 as well. You know, every time you hear of a new auction record and millions of dollars in one card being sold, chances are it's a Goldin auction. And we're going to have Ken on. He's going to tell us, you know, he's got a storied career. He started wheeling and dealing as a young man, sort of like I did. He's way farther ahead of the game than I am, though. That's where the comparison ends. But he got started early, and he really never stopped. And he's built a kingdom with Goldin Auctions and doing very well. Home of the world record single card sale, Mike Trout, Bowman Chrome Superfractor, almost $4 million, just short, and got more coming. Got more cards coming, more auctions coming. So they're not done yet. Going to talk about the hobby, the state of the hobby. We're going to answer, at least to both of us, the age-old question, which to me is not a question anymore. Are cards an investment? He's going to give his answer to that. You've heard mine probably more than once. So it's be nice to get someone who's that involved in the hobby, their take on it, and you probably can guess what he's going to tell you. But happy to have mine. Very busy man, traveling and getting things done, but made some time for us, and that happy about that. Speaking of happy about that, check your eBay message folder or your email. You may have a 25% or $25 basically gift certificate from eBay. The code is happy25. I'm not sure if it works for everybody or just if you get that email, but that is the promo code. Mine said I'm getting it because I'm with eBay over 25 years, so I'm assuming that's a prerequisite, but try it anyway. It ain't going to hurt. If you're already buying something that's over $25, go ahead and give it a whirl and see what happens. So that's I think it's happy 25. So there you go. Let's get this thing going. Time for this week's incoming product releases. Man, it's already September. Time is flying. Must be having a little fun, at least hobby-wise. So a couple things that just came out. This show comes out on the 4th. Panini Immaculate College Football is out. Top Stadium Club Baseball. Panini Donruss Football is out with an expensive price tag to boot. Now, what's coming out later this week on the 8th? 2020 Leaf Valiant Football. On the 9th, 2020 Bowman Chrome Baseball, Hobby and HTA. Also on the 9th, 2020 Topps Transcendent Baseball Captain's Collection. On the 10th, 2021 Upper Deck O-Pee-Chee Hockey, Also on the 10th, 2020, Upper Deck Marvel Masterpieces. I used to love those back in the 90s when Fleer made them. 9/11, we have a few different items. 2020 TriStar Signature Series Live Edition. 2020 Panini Mosaic No Huddle Football. 2020 Panini Mosaic Choice Football, and 2020 Panini Mosaic Football. And so that gets you right up to September 11th. There you go.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
It's time for What's Cracking. Well, folks, this was not part of what's on my notes to start this segment, but it literally just came across my phone. I'm a huge Mets fan, and we just lost our greatest player ever. Tom Seaver gone at age 75. I know Mets fans, we knew it was coming. Reports were that he was in ill health, and so it's not so much a surprise. It's just, like any death, when it happens, it hits you, the finality of it. And our greatest former living player is no longer with us. And so, sad day, condolences to all of Mets Nation, condolences to his family. A great guy, from all accounts. I've never met him, but everything you read, a great guy, and obviously one of the greatest pitchers to ever take the bump. And so, Godspeed, Tom Seaver. Hard to follow that, but we've got to cover all the other news going on in the hobby. The Ben Baller Chrome edition of Topps Baseball is on the market as far as for sale. I got my box as part of the Montgomery Club, or I don't actually have the box in physical possession, but I got to order one as a result of being a Montgomery 582 member. And they also did a raffle where you can enter to try to get another box if you, for non-Montgomery members, and threw my name in that hat and got an email saying, congratulations, you have a box. So I will be getting apparently 2 boxes of Ben Baller Chrome. If you know my MO, those will not be opened up. Those will be in turn sold to pay for some of my inventory, as I like to say. And, the last I knew, they were going anywhere from $600 to $900 on the secondary market at the moment. I've noticed a lot of people confirming that they have gotten that same email saying congratulations, they have got those boxes as well. So hard to tell how many of these things will be produced. And we'll have to wait and see. With me, I don't open as much wax. And I'm going to move both of my boxes. And it appears, if you took a straw poll, it looks like a lot of people are trying to sell them. And so that'll be interesting to see if that drives the price down or if there are buyers on the other end. And, you're going to hear Ken Goldin here later on the show talk about supply and demand. And so if the demand is there for these Baller Chrome boxes, that price is going to be there too. If it isn't, that price is going to drop. But regardless, I think over the $279 SRP, you're going to do all right if you resell. So, and that's what I'll be doing, regardless of what others may think of that. That's a whole nother show. So, I don't know when they'll be live, but plenty of listings selling the product that people know are coming. And if you want to go to eBay and purchase one of those Ben Baller Chrome baseball boxes, you might want to use the promo code HAPPY, all caps, HAPPY, 25, because you may get $25 off your purchase. I know I got an email saying that they're thanking me for being a longtime eBay member with that promo code. I haven't used it just quite yet. Planning on doing that very soon. It does have, I think, a September 9th expiration date. At least mine does. So regardless of whether you got that email or not, give it a whirl. Happy 25, all caps. See if you save $25 on eBay. Can't beat that for free. So if you follow the show or the show on social media, you've heard me talk about a local person who has a couple Jackie Robinson 1947 bond bred cards that look to be in great shape. They called me up, as I'm Google certified on Google, and I'm the first person that will pop up in this area when you do a Google search of sports cards. And a great lady, a very nice lady, called me and told me that her mother left her these two cards, and she doesn't collect cards, or she doesn't really have any use for them. She believes they're worth something. I don't think she knew the complete value of them, quite frankly, and I kind of filled her in. And if you know me, you know I'm a Jackie Robinson guy. I would love to own those two cards. I don't own any of those of the 13 card set. Some people actually consider it his rookie before his rookie, which is the 48 Leaf. These are 47. The fact that there's 13 of them in the set, though, all Jackie Robinson's sort of, doesn't make it his rookie, I guess, but it is one of his first appearances on card, if you will. And they are not prevalent. These are fairly rare items. And she sent me pictures. They looked very well with via a camera phone picture. You know how that goes. And, she asked me if I was interested. While I told her I was interested, I said, you might have really something special on your hands, something that probably I can't buy at the moment. But, could have I taken advantage? Probably. That's not how I was raised. It's not my MO. I'm not going to do it. I don't even care whether it's Jackie Robinson or whoever. I don't do that. So I told her the first thing she needed to do was get those cards graded and authenticated to prove that they are the indeed genuine article, because there are counterfeits of the bond bred Jackie Robinsons. And so the raws sell, but they sell for a lot less because of the fear that there may be Fugazi copies. And so I got that ball rolling. She wanted to know, could I do it for her? And I said, I can help her and get all that stuff in order, but I really wanted her to submit it under her name, and that way it's still, there's no funny business going on. And I got her going. I reached out to SGC, and she submitted. I helped her, but she submitted through her own account to SGC, insured those things as I told her to do, to insure that for a hefty amount. And those grades are now back, and did pretty well. There's two Jackie Robinsons. The one that's called Running the Bases, which is, as it sounds, is him on the base paths, was graded, obviously, authentic, SGC 4, and the one called No Sleeve Showing, which is more of a portrait with him swinging the back behind his head with no sleeve showing. That graded an SGC 3.5. So now she has 2 authentic bond-bred Jackie Robinsons. If you do a quick search of bond-bred Jackie Robinsons, number 1, you won't find many, and number 2, the ones you find, a lot of them are PSA 1s, PSA 1.5, PSA 2s, PSA 2.5s. And so I called her back yesterday and told her, what I think these things are worth. She is pretty surprised by what I told her. I said the next thing she probably should do is, and I gave her a list of names of auction houses, and I said she should reach out, call those places up, see if they're interested in listing those 2 cards in that catalog. But these 2 cards could bring anywhere, in my estimation, between, I know it's a wide range, between probably $4,000 and $8,000-$9,000, maybe even an outside shot at 5 digits. And great for her family. She's got some things going on. I won't disclose her business, but not all great there. And I gotta say, she was very thankful towards me. Said she will do something for me when these cards sell. I told her that's not why I helped her, but whatever she wants to do, that's up to her. But I didn't do it for that reason. Quite frankly, I did that, helped her out just because it's in my nature, number 1. And number 2, if I didn't, let's be honest, and she goes to the next person, what's going to happen? Most likely, not 100%. Someone's going to take advantage. Yes. See right through that she doesn't know what she has, at least to the extent that she has it, and they're going to offer her, a couple $1,000, and in turn do what she just did on my counsel. And so I don't want that to happen. I didn't want it to happen. Yes, Jackie Robinson is my idol. Most people who know me know that, but it's the principle: do the right thing, operate above board, which I do, and it's a great story. It's made this show 3 or 4 episodes. I'm going to reach out to her and see if I can meet her in person and maybe get photographs with the cards and her, and it's something I think we'll both always refer to and remember fondly. Yes, I would love to own the cards, but not in the market to purchase those at the moment. So again, a great story, and I'll keep you abreast. The last episode I said that we're going in for grading. Now we have those grades back, or she has those grades back. Even though I helped out, they are her cards. I know I just said we have, it's hers. And speaking of that, SGC, she went with the $100 Need It Now service, and those grades were back in the day. So if you have some serious cards, much like these Jackie Robinson or Jordan rookies, Trouts, or stuff that's going to bring big money on the secondary market, and you want to splurge and plunk that $100 down, it looks like they're right on point with one-day turnarounds. And so her cards are on the way. Those 2 Jackies are on the way back to her, and she's going to call those auction houses I recommended and see who will want them. In worst case, I told her, if those auction houses aren't interested in them, you can always sell them on eBay, although I think the auction house route is her best bet. So again, I'll keep you abreast of this story as it progresses. She has not got the cards back yet. They should be back probably either Thursday or Friday or by Saturday. So great story. Happy for her and her family, and it makes me feel good that I was able to help someone, and it's not one of those classic stories where someone rips somebody off and then resells the cards, and that's just bad stuff. So, all right, on to the next thing. And speaking of auction houses, today's guest on the show, you'll hear him momentarily. Coming up here is Mr. Ken Goldin from Goldin Auctions, one of the auction house I recommended to Carolyn there with those Jackie Robinsons. He's having an incredible 2020, to say the least. Recently, the Michael Trout 101 Superfractor, we all know about that, almost $4 million, and no rest for the weary. His late summer auction is underway, loaded. I'm not going to list everything, but it's got an 86-87 Fleer basketball box, and one of the packs has the Michael Jordan rookie showing. Now, I don't know how you would know that unless I guess you look through those packs, but I guess the temptation is there, but it's still in there, still showing, and there's a sealed pack with Jordan in it. How about that? And the whole box, that will be sold as the whole box. Manuals, Killebrew, like almost complete uniform, just incredible stuff. But another one of one in the Goldin Auctions catalog, and this one is Giannis 2013-14 National Treasures Logo Man Auto, graded BGS 9. Bidding at the time of this recording was already at $500,000. And again, Ken Goldin, Goldin's Auctions, killing it this year, killing it this month and the last month. I mean, just incredible, the stuff going through there. I only mentioned a few things. And he's actually, like I said, going to be up momentarily on the show. He's going to talk about that Giannis, actually. He comes up in the conversation. So stay tuned very shortly for that. Speaking of auctions, the highest money brought in, I know that's worded terribly, highest Jordan sold. And it's in a SGC holder, Pristine 10, the gold label. Michael Jordan, the only one of those in existence, closed out at auction recently, $420,000. $420,000 is the new Michael Jordan rookie Fleer record, Pristine 10 SGC. And so, I don't want this to be an SGC infomercial, but if you look recently, a lot of their holders have started to bring big money as well. That gap is closing, believe it or not, between them and PSA, if you will. And whether you're not an SG fan or not, that's your business. But really start to look at the numbers and where the trends are going. So that'll do it for this segment. Like I said, stay tuned. We got Ken Goldin coming up himself, and he'll be talking, amongst other things, about that Giannis.
We love our listeners. Without you, there is no us. We care about your opinions and feedback and invite you to reach out to us on any of our social media accounts. On Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast, Twitter at SportsCardNati1, or email the show at sportscardnationpc@gmail.com. We don't ask for much, but if you really like the show, give us a shout out. Tell your friends or give us a follow on our social medias. If you enjoy the show, please give us a positive review on iTunes or any of the platforms you are listening on. Thank you.
Five, four, three, two, one.
Commence interview sequence. All right, real excited to have my next guest on the one-of-one card shop, Sports Card Nation guest line. He's really a man that needs no introduction. He's worn many hats in the hobby, but currently he's the CEO of Goldin Auctions, and that should strike a chord as very big news lately with the auction house. So, Mr. Ken Goldin, welcome.
Glad to be here with you.
Incredible few weeks, but I mean, you've done Goldin Auctions since 2011, 2012. It's been a trajectory, a crescendo, and this past week, I for your sake, I hope that's not the high point, but that's a pretty good high point to say the least. But you've wore, many hats in the hobby, from like a lot of us starting young as a collector, but you got into even the mail order as a young, even pre-teen. You were in your teens. You were doing mail order and stuff. So you've been, this is old hat for you in terms of your experience in the hobby. Speak a little bit. I know you've probably spoke of it a lot, but just kind of that trajectory.
So, I mean, I like a lot of kids, I started collecting cards when I was a kid. I don't know if I was 7, 8, 9. I have no idea. But I know that I started looking at it seriously when I was 12, and my first big transaction was probably when I was 12 years old with a friend of mine. And at the time, this is circa 1979.
Yeah.
So at the time, the electric race cars were popular, and I had a track in my basement. I had a few cars, and one of my friends had a much bigger card collection than I had, and he, basically liked my cars. So I said, I'll tell you what, I'll trade you my racetrack and my cars for all your trading cards. Well, my racetrack and cars today would probably be worth $25. The trading cards he gave me would probably be worth like $50,000.
Yeah.
He had a lot of cards, and I sorted them out, and I said, okay, this is great. I put complete sets together. Probably had a run of sets from the 70s, a bunch of cards from the 60s, some from the 50s, which, there was no price guide or anything back then.
Yeah.
And then, so I'd go to flea markets and try and buy stuff from the dealers there. And we went with my father, about 6 months later on a Sunday. And a guy, this is like my first big transaction in the industry.
Yeah.
A guy was, walked up to the dealer, probably between 19 and 22, said, hey, do you buy cards? He goes, I got a lot of cards. I have a lot of cards to sell. The dealer said, yes, but I'm too busy today. This is Sunday. This is my busy day. Can you come back on Tuesday? And the guy said, well, I'm shipping out tomorrow, so I guess not, and walked away. So I tapped my dad and said, hey, follow him.
Yeah.
So we followed the guy, and as we started walking out, I piped up and said, hey, you got cards to sell? He goes, yeah. I go, do you have them here? He goes, yeah, they're in my trunk. So we went to his car, he lifted up his trunk, and he had 6 large trash bags full of cards. 6 gigantic, like the garbage, not the kitchen size,
yeah,
but the
hefty,
however many gallon deluxe bags, the big hefty bags. And I said, what do you want from me? He said, $100. Without looking, I said, Dad, pay him. And my dad looked, and I remember this because he had $70 in his wallet. So my dad said, I got $70. I said, can you do it for $70? The guy said, okay, fine. So we sold the card. He sold the card. My dad paid him $70. I literally spent 2-3 months sorting them all out. There were about 60,000 cards. So he had about 10,000 cards per bag. None of them, they were all from like 1976 through the 1950s.
Yeah.
And I sorted them out, and I tried to figure out where can I sell it. So I got, looked in the back of the Sporting News. I saw these classified ads. I saw, a Larry Fritsch ad, and I saw a Gelman's card collecting company in New York ad. Those are the 2 ads in the back.
Yeah.
And then I saw another one for, Trader Speaks and Sports Collectors Digest. So I got copies of both of them, and I said, okay, Sports Collectors Digest. Wow, I can place an ad in this. So at 13 years of age, I placed my first ad. People, it may see in the back of their ads, a couple people have sent them to me that still had Sports Collectors Digest from the late 1970s. Ken Goldin, 516 Garwood Drive, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And that was, I placed, I probably kept, I'd say 90% of the cards, and sold the balance for maybe $5,000.
Yeah.
Paid my dad back $70 and started placing ads in the local shopper's guide, and I would set up either at the Cherry Hill Hilton or the Philadelphia Airport Holiday Inn when they used to have a Philadelphia Airport Holiday Inn, and I would place ads and say, bring me your cards for cash. And I'd be like a little 13, 14-year-old kid sitting there with maybe $500 to $5,000 in cash.
Yep.
And people would walk in and sell me their cards. And the best deal I ever made, I think I bought 600 or 700 T206 and T205 cards for $1 a card. They were all, the guy was, either the guy himself or probably his father at the time, smoked Polar Bear cigarettes.
Yeah.
So, Polar Bear tobacco. So every card was like a Polar Bear back.
Yeah.
Which had the rare O'Hara and Demet card in it. So I probably got like 10 of those error cards, like 8 Ty Cobbs and Polar Bear backs and so on. And that just got my business started. So I was buying and selling and doing shows, throughout my teen years.
Yeah. And the more of the story with that card shop owner, Ken, you snooze, you lose, and the rest is history, and that got the ball rolling, and here we are many years later with a huge auction house, and I want to go back a little bit to the scoreboard days. You and your dad Paul started that. I know you that was after college for you, and so you're still young, and here you are, with scoreboard and building that into the largest national distributor of sports cards at the time. Kind of, touch on that a little bit to,
Sure. So I was 20 when scoreboard started. I was 20.
Yeah.
My dad came to me with an idea because card shops were blooming, blossoming all over the country, and said, "Hey, do you think this would work? Would this be something you want to do?" And, he said, "I think I can raise money." And I said, "Well, if you think you can raise money to do it, then yeah, I'll do it." So came out as a penny stock at 3.5 cents a share, raised, to my surprise, $2 million.
Yeah.
And the concept was that the trading card manufacturers, Topps and Fleer at the Donruss at the time, did not really sell the hobby. You really had to be a candy and gum distributor or a national retailer to get product.
Yeah.
So we tried to break that. So we went to I remember the first meeting. It was in August, I believe August or September of 1987. There's 87 Topps, and you had McGuire cards in there. Barry Bonds. You had Cal Daniels was a hot card. Eric Davis was a hot card. A bunch. The players back then.
Yeah.
But cards were really popular. So we got a meeting with Cy Berger of Topps, and we said to him, we want to buy vending cases, and I was going to go out and get kids to sort them. So he said, "How many vending cases do you want to buy?" And I said, 2,000 cases. And I think they were probably $250 a case or whatever the heck it was back then.
Yeah.
So I said, heck with it. I'm going to take $500,000 and the $2 million we just raised, and I'm just going to write this guy a check. So he said, "Okay, I'll sell them to you." So we wrote him a check for probably close to $500,000, which at the time was probably one of the single largest checks he ever got.
Yeah.
Because cards aren't that expensive. Maybe he got a big Walmart check, but certainly whatever. And maybe 60 days later, we paid, and we waited like 60 days later, and all of a sudden these, a truckload of Topps cards came to our warehouse. So I went to the local high school. I contacted some kids in high school. And I said, "Hey, I want to hire kids to come sort cards for me after school." And I didn't pay them by the hour. I said, "I'm going to pay you by the box."
Yeah.
So every whatever $1 a vending box, $2 a vending box, whatever it was. And we gave them a list of cards to sort out, and they scroll through as fast as they could, and they would sort the boxes, pull the 50 cards we told them to pull. And at some point in time, we had 30,000 Mark McGuire cards, and 30,000 Cal Daniels rookies, and 30,000 John Crux, and 30,000 Cal Ripkins, and 30,000 Nolan Ryans. We took ads, sold the cards individually, and made a profit doing that. Then we started buying. We were able to break into some of the other manufacturers. So in '88, we did that, and then we started get some things autographed. And then in '88, I saw this game called Classic Games, Game Time Limited, and it was this big board game with these trading cards. And you look in the back of the card, and they've got a card of Bo Jackson in a football and a baseball uniform, and they've got a card of Nolan Ryan and Cal Ripken and so on. And I said, "This is a great thing, but who wants to pay $25 for this big board game? If we can figure out how to get this cards get these cards out of the game, it'd be something special.
Yeah.
So went to the company and we made an offer and we bought Game Time Limited. First thing I did was change the name to Classic Games and turn the cards into Classic Cards. So Classic Cards was born. And then the next year, we went to the Major League Baseball Players Association and said, hey, we want to make a travel pack with a single die, and a break of cards. And they said, okay. So the next thing you knew, we had blister packs, and it was $89. So, of course, I said, okay, fine, I got to put the hot guys in the front. So I had a blister pack with Ken Griffey Jr. and Gary Sheffield showing through the blister. So for all anybody knew, it was a deck of, it was like a blister pack of 50 trading cards. If you look in the back, there's a little die, and that exploded. And then the next year, you know, I saw these draft picks, and everybody wanted the draft picks. So the next year we started with the classic draft picks, and that's really when the company blossomed into a $100 million company. And, you know, for about 6 years, every single major player from Shaquille O'Neal to Alonzo Mourning to Chris Webber to Chipper Jones, Allen Iverson, Kobe Bryant. Every year we signed all the top draft picks in all the major sports, and that's really when the draft picks were born. You know, I would sign these contracts with these athletes to get a bunch of autographs. So we started the autograph per box concept, the autograph per pack concept, and so on and so forth. And obviously signing athletes to, you know, mega autograph deals and, you know, putting them on TV. And, you know, that was Scoreboard. And my dad died in '94, which sucked for me in many ways. But from a business standpoint, it was horrible because, you know, I was 28 and all of a sudden I had to deal with shareholders and lawyers and banks and 352 employees, and baseball, basketball, and football all went on strike that year. We were locked out. So the company got like $40 million in returns. Company was taken over a majority by a venture capitalist. And at the end of my contract, I said, I'm not renewing, and I left. And I did my own thing. And, you know, I worked with athletes for a number of years and sold product, you know, distributed product, you know, really kept a low profile, low key, you know, had a couple big customers, and, you know, just worked doing that. And finally, in 2011, I saw a Babe Ruth. You know, at the time there was, you know, the whole Mastro thing was going on, and, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on in the auction houses where some of the auction houses were getting a very bad reputation. So I was keeping my eye on that. And then I saw a Babe Ruth jersey sell for $4.4 million. And I knew the company charged 20% buyer's premium. And, you know, I didn't know about any special deals. People kind of said, wow, you know, that guy made almost $900,000 on one item. I got to get in that business. And I planned, and the next year I started Goldin Auctions.
And the rest is history. It's funny. It's funny hearing you talk about Scoreboard and Classic. In 1989, I was 17. I was actually doing the show circuit and the flea markets. Anywhere you could set a table up and sell cards. In '92, I opened up my first store at 20 and had that for 4 years. And I don't think people, even to this day, realize the importance of those cards. I mean, I sold a lot of those cards and sets, and you know, some of them are iconic. I mean, the Bo Jackson with the bat and the Auburn. You know, to this day, people may not even know the backstory of the card, but they know, they've seen that card so many times. And for me, who was in business, you know, selling then. I mean, I sold a lot of your product. I'm sure you know, bought and sold a lot of product from singles to those sets to the draft pick packs and boxes. Like you said, one of the first to even guarantee like an auto per box, which was not heard of at that time. And so a lot of history there that, you know, maybe someone younger today doesn't even realize, but someone, you know, but some of those cards still transcend, you know, the Griffey, like you said, definitely the Bo Jackson and McGuire's and guys of that ilk from that time period. It's much like the name Classic, you know, it lived up to that name. They are classics, and I remember finally hearing you talk about all that stuff brought me right back to some younger days in my career, even in the industry. And it was nice to hear that and stuff. And so,
and we can't forget about the NFL Proline brand, which was we were an NFL licensee, and Proline was our main brand, and that's what we did in '92 when we took over the Proline brand. The first product that came out, '92 Proline, was actually the first product that had an autograph in every box. And those, if people see the Proline cards, we had comedians, we had actors sign cards back then.
Wives, the player wives.
Player wives, Joe Montana's wife, Jennifer Montana, signed cards, and Muhammad Ali even signed cards for that set.
Yep, and if you remember those, for those listening to the show, they had that nice stamp crimp, that certification, which I thought was really cool to certify that the card was signed. I remember a lot of them were even signed on the back. And that was sort of different too. And so again, I remember those square boxes. They were kind of smaller square boxes, and again, bringing me back right to sort of the heyday of when I was doing shows and the store, and all these, even with all the technology we have now with the new releases, Ken, there's still something about that era. And I know people say, well, it was overproduced, but there's still something, about that without that era of cards, we wouldn't have what we have today too. It's a bridge. We can't, lose sight of that. And, hearing you bring those things up, bring me right back there. So, awesome stuff. Going to step aside for a real quick break, but we'll be back with more from Mr. Ken Goldin. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. And remember to save 10% off your total order. Use the promo code SCN10. That's capital S, capital C, capital N, 10 for 10% off your total order at pastimemarketplace.com. Sports Card Nation is back with Mr. Ken Goldin. Goldin Auctions, you led right in to that. Like you said, you kind of, there was some turmoil in the industry, and you saw that, and you saw sort of an opportunity, a door sort of opening, and you walk through it, and here you are. I mean, let's go to current times, 2020, just some of the auctions of late. I mean, every I don't have to hype it up. It's facts are facts. But, every new record, every new card sale record, it seems it's Goldin Auctions behind it. I mean, honestly, does anything surprise you? Even though you've been in this industry a long time, does anything kind of make you take a step back and say, holy smokes?
Yeah, this is when I know that it's become crazy. So going up until 2019, to put this in perspective, up until 2000, and obviously Heritage is a conglomerate. They've got 64 departments, they've got art, they've got real estate.
Yeah. But
up until 2019, even Heritage Auctions had never sold a sports item for $1 million. They sold one last year.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was when they did the Mansell card at $2.9 million. So that's how it's 2018. That was their first 7-figure item. I've sold 8 7. Not all of them are public.
Yeah.
I've sold 8 7-figure cards this year. 8 cards for $1 million or more. And the industry has really reached a new level when, yes, we sold a Mike Trout card, the Super, for $3.93 million last week. But in the same auction, we sold a LeBron James card for $1.1 million, and it didn't even get any press. It was like, oh, that's old news. Oh, that's old news. This is the progression of 2020. Going into the year, at the start of 2020, the record for a modern card was $400,000, I believe, for a Tom Brady. And that was like the record for a modern card.
Yeah.
In February, I sold the Logo Man for $900,000.
Yep.
Okay, the LeBron Jordan Logo Man, that got publicity. Then we sold and that became the most valuable modern card and the most valuable basketball card. Then we sold the Red Trout for $922,000, barely edging that out. So now that's the most valuable modern card. Then we sell, in the very next auction, we sell the LeBron, RPA Gold limited to 23, the 9.5.
Yeah.
We sell that for $1.8 million. And then you have even LeBron chiming in on Instagram and ESPN, that he's got a couple of them saved himself. Whether he's got that or whether he's got the RPA limited to 99, I don't know. I've got doubts that he's any of the ones limited to 23, but who knows? A lot of celebrities and a lot of athletes do buy cards, and a lot of celebrities and a lot of athletes do buy cards from me.
Yeah.
So then, that like took the world by storm. But then in the very next auction, we have the Trout Super at 3.9, and the same auction we have the LeBron RPA 9.5 for 1.1 million. And now I literally opened up an auction yesterday. Literally, go Goldin Auctions, right? GoldinAuctions.com right now. We literally opened up the auction, and it closes September 20th and 21st. And lot number one, the Giannis Logo Man, is, at the time of this, is, including buyer's premium, is close to $750,000. So that's going to be yet another $1 million basketball card, and it's not LeBron, it's not Jordan, it's not Kobe. It's Giannis. It just shows you how much money is in the business. And realistically, people will say that I'm not one to give false modesty, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So I will just tell it like it is. In 2016, the modern card market has really been coming along strong. But in 2016, when I sold the T206 Wagner, and for $3.1 million I called the auction the Great American Card Auction.
Yep.
And I threw in there a 2003 LeBron James. People are like, why are you putting in? You've got all these great vintage cards. You've got, you've got a 54 Hank Aaron 9. You've got a Nolan Ryan, SGC 10. You've got this card, big card. You've got a Gaudy, a Nap Lajoie 33 Gaudy 9. You've got all these classic cards, and you're putting in LeBron. I said, just watch. I bet this card goes for $100,000. Didn't go for $100,000. Went for $316,000. On that day, in October of 2016, I said to myself, this is the future. I need to understand this market. I need to learn who the players are. I need to learn who the manufacturers are. I need to learn what different brands are, what makes the modern market click, what makes the cards more valuable. And I spent a lot of time investing and understanding what is making these cards popular. And then it all clicked. It started to click the second half of 2019, but it's all clicked obviously all clicked on 2020. And every single record that possibly there is, most valuable basketball card of all time, most valuable baseball card of all time, most valuable modern card of all time, most valuable hockey card of all time. Every single thing has absolutely clicked for us, and we are, dominating the modern card market to the point that, I tell people, look, if you've got a high value trading card, especially a high value modern card, you're just costing yourself, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars with, by going anywhere else. And I think everybody realizes it because we have the buyers, and they are worldwide, and they are loyal.
Yep. And the track record now for sure. And I know your answer to this, but it's really a hobby debate. And to me, Ken, it's not even a debate, but it still rages on. There's one side of the aisle that says, cards are not an investment. And then the other side of the aisle, which I fall on, and I believe you do, that cards are an investment. And my argument is, if you're not doing it for investment, that's fine. To eat, hobby how you enjoy it, whether it's team collecting, player collecting, that's fine. But to get on a pedestal, and when you see what some of these cards are going for, and like you said, it's not always even the big ones. Even some of those undercards are still bringing millions of dollars or high hundreds of $1,000s and going kind of unpressed, uncovered. You can't look at that and say that they're not an investment. I mean, name a stock that has that sort of ROI, even the best companies, and so I don't even debate anyone. When someone tries to kind of get that debate, I'm like, this isn't even a question to me. Now, you may not like the fact that cards are an investment. You may not appreciate that or like it, but the fact is, to me, they are. And you know, to really debate that, I think it's almost semantics. And I think when you look at where we are here in 2020, I think that debate really should be put to bed. It'll always sort of rage on, but in my mind, it doesn't exist that cards can be an investment. You know, whether you want to do it for that reason, that's a different story. But I think there's no doubt that they are.
No, I would agree with that, and it's really, look, things may come and go in popularity, but you know, if you want to talk about vintage cards, you can go look at 1909. Look at the price. Look at the price of a T206 Honus Wagner. Look at the price of a T206 Honus Wagner from 1900 through 2020 over the past 100 years. Every year, every 5 years, every 10 years, you know, the card goes up in value. Every time have constantly gone up. We've now reached the point, and part of the reason that modern cards have taken over is that there is a younger, richer class of people that they don't care about Harmon Killebrew. They don't care about Rogers Hornsby. Yes, they know who Babe Ruth is. Yes, they know who Honus Wagner is. Yes, they know who Mickey Mantle is. Yeah. But all these other guys, you know, they didn't see them play. They don't mean anything to them, so they're not going to collect them. Michael Jordan means something to them. Mike Trout means something to them. LeBron James, Patrick Mahomes, Kobe Bryant, Giannis, these people mean something to them. So these are the cards they want to collect. And with the modern cards, you know, what they're putting their money into is the numbered cards. Okay? So in basketball, if you've got a logo man, it's a 1 of 1. They get it. If you've got an RPA, it's limited to 99. They get it. If you've got other, other cards that are limited to 5 or 25, they can do the math. They know it's out there. You know, you look at tops. You've got a superfractor. It's 1. You've got a red refractor. It's 5. You've got an orange refractor. It's 25. They can do the math. They're not worried that they go out and put their money into a Ty Cobb, T206 Ty Cobb with the Ty Cobb back where supposedly 6 of them exist, and in the past 5 years, 13 more have been discovered. Or they go put their money in a rare candy set, and all of a sudden there's a find that is 1,000 times the population that previously exists. Or there's a find of 13 52 Topps Mickey Mantles. They don't need to worry about it. They like the grading. They like the fact that it's a tradable commodity. Okay, I've got a PSA 10. I know what a PSA 10 is worth. I know what it trades at. I've got a BGS 9.5. I know what it trades at. And I know there are a lot of people that will make them want to throw up, but there are people that buy cards and sell cards sight unseen. You tell them it's a BGS 9.5. That is completely fine for them. That is all the information they need. They don't need any other information whatsoever. They don't even need to see the card. They buy the card sight unseen. There are people like that, and that's what has happened because a lot of the cards, and more so the modern and the vintage, have been commoditized. And as a commodity, you can do several different things. As a commodity, you can store it somewhere, like in a bank or even an off-site vault location, without ever taking possession of it and owning the asset. You can have it sold to somebody who sells fractional shares. You look at, a company like Rally, which, takes an asset and they sell fractional shares and then people trade it. You look at, they had a pair of Michael Jordan shoes today. It's now selling for 4 times what it was issued for. They had a Mantle card that is triple what it was issued for. They had 306 Wagner that is up 50% of what it was issued for. You also have these funds that are now starting. A lot of people in the hobby may have read about the Wax Case Fund. That was started in conjunction with Blowout. But what you don't know is there are hedge funds that are now raising between $5 million and $100 million to invest in this type of stuff. And it's alternate investment to them. Yeah. So yes, as you said, if you're in it for fun, you're in it for fun, and buy what you enjoy, collect what you like. That's what everyone always says, and that's what I'll say. However, cannot ignore the fact that it is an investment. You cannot ignore the fact that, like art, like other types of collectibles, it is being viewed as a significant portion of the population as a form of investment and a form of alternative investment and everything that goes along with it. You also cannot avoid the fact that up until this year, whether it be 1956 or 2003 or 2009, none of this existed. So when these investment companies go to buy the Mike Trout rookies, the Giannis rookies, the LeBron James rookies, the Steph Curry rookies, the Jordan rookies, the funds were not around then, which means the prices are going to continually go up.
Yeah.
They're going to go up because everyone's going after the same. They all want the same. They all want the top 25 players. That's all they want. They want the top 25 players. So you will look at players from each of the sports, obviously, because it's international. Basketball is going to have the most players. Baseball is going to have the second. Football is going to be more limited. Hockey, will probably be McDavid, Crosby, and a couple others, and that's it. But those are the players that are going to be gone after. Those are the players that are going to be taken off the market. And those are the players whose cards are going to continue to go up until every one of these people doing it has a supply. And then it'll be it'll be like a normal stock probably. It'll trade, some stocks will trade, some cards will trade like Zoom. Some cards will trade like Netflix and Amazon. Some cards will trade, like Coca-Cola and Procter & Gamble, and just gradually go up. And if it's a bad economy, maybe they'll go down a little bit.
Great analogies, and like you said, I mean, there's even various forms that you can invest in cards, from fractional shares, and now you meant, hedge funds. And we knew about the wax thing with blowout, and so it's in many forms and in shapes and sizes, and that's why I don't even debate it no more. It's just, to me, it's not debatable. My answer, like you said, is if you don't like that and you're doing it, whatever reason you're doing it, there's no wrong way to be in the hobby, as long as you're doing everything above board and the right way. It's however you want to enjoy it. Going to step aside for one more quick break, but when we come back, more with Mr. Ken Goldin. Hey folks, tired of going to the retail store and finding the wax shelves cleaned out bare? I've got the answer for you, and that answer is Hotbox Cards. They offer a monthly subscription service at a great price level. What's better than getting a box of sports cards on your doorstep every month? Not a whole lot, and these boxes don't cost a whole lot. Let me tell you what's in each and every hot box. 3 Relic auto cards, 3 unopened hobby packs, 50 bonus cards featuring stars, rookies, semi-stars, inserts, and parallels. And 1 in every 5 boxes has a red-hot envelope with a surprise card. They also honor expired redemptions with a comparable item, so there's no worry about getting that old redemption card with nothing to show for it. Check them out at www.hotboxcards.net and put in promo code SCNation. SCNation all in caps to save even a little bit more money. We are back with Mr. Ken Goldin. When you look at this year, Ken, with the pandemic going on, this arguably is probably the greatest year in hobby history, going concurrent with a pandemic. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will. And I mean, where do you see it? A lot of people like to debate another debate. Is the market going to crash? Which I don't agree with. Or is the bubble going to burst? Is there going to be what's called air quotes? I've kind of said this. If anything, maybe a market correction. I don't. The hobby's too strong to just crash, but maybe a correction. I think you sort of alluded a little bit that to yourself. I mean, as someone whose fingers on the pulse and sees all this stuff, I mean, how would you answer that same question when you hear?
I can tell you what happens is that the market will not go down and the market will not stay correct until the number of people coming into the hobby new every day decreases and is outweighed by the number of people who want to sell. And, yes, I do have the pulse. I see how many new people register for my auction every day. I see how many new bidders there are. I see how many people are online on my website at any given day. I mean, we average right now, I think we average like 6,000 visitors a day, whether we're running an auction or not.
Yeah.
So you think about that. That's an enormous amount enormous amount of people coming to our website. So maybe during an auction close night, maybe we average 50,000 visitors a day. So the scope it's worldwide. When I have a key basketball item, I know that maybe 30 or 40% of my bids are going to come from outside the United States. So the industry is growing. Obviously, as the founder and CEO of Goldin Auctions, I want as much business as I can get for myself.
Yep.
I want to take business from my competitors. That's what it is. But what I also want to do is grow the market, grow the pie. Right now, and that's why I do all the interviews. That's why I'm on Fox Business and CNBC and ESPN and everything else I do to bring more people into the hobby.
Yeah.
The hobby is going to continue to grow, and the prices are going to continue to go up until such time, very simple, supply and demand, as there are more sellers than buyers. And I'm going to use this as an example. The 86 Fleer Michael Jordan, it was going up and up and up. People said, oh my God, it's the hype of The Last Dance. It's going to crash. And the weekend after The Last Dance, Goldin Auctions sold a Michael Jordan card for $99,000. That represented the high point. That was in May.
Yep.
It dipped down in June. It dipped down in June to a point where on eBay, I saw some, I'm referring to a PSA 10, PSA 10 only. So I saw some dip down into the 60s. Then, we sold one for probably 68 and 74,000. Then I saw another auction house sold one for 75 maybe 4 weeks ago, and my auction that closed last week, we sold one for 94,000 again. And guess what? Last week, one sold at auction a PSA 10 for $112,000. So there you have it. That's a card. Everybody knows there's a lot of them. Everybody knows there's like 400 PSA 10s. But and then basically everyone who had one, sold at record price and said, I'm going to sell it now. I'm going to sell it now. So now everybody who had it cheap has sold. It dipped down, but the demand for the card, because he's such an iconic figure, is so strong. New buyers came in, gobbled up. The price not only went back to the $99,000 level, but surpassed it. So I think we're in the third inning. I think that 5 years from now, 10 years from now, look, 40 years ago, when I was a little kid buying and selling, if you said I'm going to be in my 50s and I'm going to be doing this for a living, I wouldn't have believed it, okay? So 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, this is still going to be going on.
Yeah.
Okay, it was going on in the there are people making their living buying and selling cards in the 60s, more in the 70s, more in the 80s, more in the 90s. Obviously the early 90s we had the whole decade of overproduction. Hopefully the card manufacturers learn their lesson and I speak to those guys and I believe they certainly keep the limits and the leagues understand what happened. But that's really massive overproduction by Panini and Topps is pretty much the only thing to me that would hurt the industry, is if they start coming out with a lot of new releases and they go down because they try and get piggish and just produce too much product. So when you say, oh, you can't get your product from Topps, you can't get your product from Panini, or the distributor sold out, if you have a collection and you're in this for the long term, that's really a good thing. And
you mentioned and it's just smart business. Hey, I want everything. I mean, that's just business 101. You mentioned the competitiveness with other auctions. I mean, kind of speak to that. Do you talk to anyone from other auction houses? Is it not, there's no kind of lines of communication? I mean, how does that work between Goldin and other, competitive?
A lot of these people are part of the Old Boy Network. They've been in the auctions for 20, 30 years. They've been doing this forever. Look, I came in 2012 and I did, $800,000 my first year. We'll do over $80 million this year.
Yeah.
So, I think there's, outside of Heritage, I believe there's one other company out there that'll do 20 million, like close to 20. Outside of that, I don't think there's another company that in actual auction sales is doing even $20 million. So, I try and communicate. There's some auction houses that I'm friendly with. There's some auction house employees and owners that, I'm friendly with. Others, probably hate my guts.
Yeah.
I've come in, I've taken. I believe that we took a different approach. I took the Jeff Bezos approach when I started the business. I started at only a 10% buyer's premium. I did a lot of discounts. I did a lot of advertising. I put money into getting good product. I put money into advertising. I put money into building a platform. I put money into getting a good staff, great customer service. I mean, look, I outwork everybody. Somebody emails Goldin Auctions at 1 in the morning on a Friday night, they're going to get a response from somebody. I always have somebody on call. You know, we stay in the office late. I've got a big staff. People pay. We ship it the same day. You have to give great customer service for your bidders. You have to give great customer service for your consigners. You know, if your bidders are happy, your consigners are happy, you're going to grow as a business. If your customers are not happy, you're going to fail. And that's not just in our business. It's in any business. So, you know, I'm going to have to run in a minute, but I will tell you out there, everybody, if you have great trading card product, great sports memorabilia product, it's info@goldinauctions.com. Just shoot us an email. Let us know what you have. And if you have not tried us, go to goldinauctions.com. Register to bid. It doesn't cost anything. It's free. You'll get notices whenever we have an auction. And, you know, it's not like we just sell items for $1 million and up. At this auction right now, there are things that can be bought probably for, you know, $125 to $250. So, you know, we do try and have something for everybody. We do have elite auctions where they're, you know, higher end. But other than that, we do have something for everybody. And I love the business. It's a lot of fun. And I hope everybody who collects has a lot of fun and enjoys what they collect. But if you can, you know, make money, that's a wonderful side benefit.
Yeah, no doubt, you know. And, well, you know, you've started, you've started as a kid with some small deals, and here you are in what many would argue is the best hobby year ever in 2020, setting records, Goldin Auctions. Ken, thank you for giving us some of your time and sharing some of that insight during this time. And you know, stay safe and be well.
Thank you. Have a great one. Enjoyed it. Thank you, John.
Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA and now SGC submissions. They offer various service levels at the lowest prices around. They even provide the card savers your cards need to be submitted at no extra charge. Their elite status helps improve turnaround times, and their chat rooms keep you abreast of your subs and the status of your cards. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you.
I know the chunky that left these chunkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Hello, Jerry. All right, it's time for Newman's Rambling, where I select one question I get each week and answer it on the air.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. All right, we're going to go with another question that I got asked this week on more than one occasion on a couple of social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook as well. So I got asked this question one time on each of those platforms by three different people. So I figured it's a great opportunity to use in the Newman Says section here, if you will. And the question is, basically, with football season looking like it's going to be starting on time and assuming that we're going to have a whole football season, the question I got asked was, will football cards have the same, will the season being played have the same effect that the basketball season had on the basketball card market? And you might be surprised by my answer. I think so. I think people are clamoring for sports so much. And I think with football, you got to remember, too, you know, the basketball season was not a full season. The baseball season's not going to be a full season. The NHL season is not going to be a full season. Football has an opportunity, with some luck and a couple breaks go their way, to actually have a full season. I just had my fantasy football draft. I did what I believe fairly well. It's a kind of an expensive money league that I've been in for double-digit years and a lot of fun. And so if football gets through the whole season unscathed, doesn't miss games, and that sort of thing, it's going to be one of the few things, the sports going on at the time as well. And with a lot of college football not being played, and maybe none at all, hardly, NFL is going to be the only football show in town, period. And I think you're seeing some of these players get a bump already before the season starts. Kyler Murray's stuff is way up there. Hasn't even started his second year, obviously. It's on speculation. People think he's going to be the next, if you will. Mahomes getting that Super Bowl ring bump. And a lot of guys. Saquon, I've sold more Saquon Barkleys this offseason than I did even in his rookie year where he played well. So a lot of speculation, a lot of new people in the hobby finding ways to put where to put their money. And let's not mistake this. As popular as basketball is, and baseball is probably ahead of baseball in popularity, or at least in pricing, football is America's sport. I mean, people play fantasy football. I mean, everybody almost plays fantasy football or daily fantasy leagues when it comes to the NFL. And yes, I know maybe not the same enthusiasm with cards, but people love the NFL. I mean, women love the NFL. My wife loves the NFL. She's not a huge sports fan in across the board. And so the NFL is where baseball used to be. And that's going to help. I'm not trying to say it's going to pass basketball as far as the card market, but I think you're going to see guys bump. And I think you're going to see with a lot of the new people in the hobby, you know, a guy goes off for a week and runs for 150 yards and scores 2 touchdowns. You're going to see that card market just shoot up based on 1 week. That's where we are in this hobby, is a guy hits 2 home runs, a guy puts up 35 points. You know, cards instantly go up. It's day trading. And my advice for the 2 cents it's worth is if that happens and it's on a guy you don't believe is going to sustain that, then you need to sell at that peak. Now, again, with all these, depending on what selling platform you're moving these cards, you know, they got that 60 or 6 month return policy. So even when you sell that guy that's not great because he had a great night, chances are someone's going to initiate a chargeback when they realize it too. And that's the unfortunate thing about it. Kind of gives the buyer an out as an escape clause, if you will. But I still recommend doing it in the case that they don't, or they don't want to be bothered with the hassle of a return and that sort of thing. But yeah, we're going to see that effect, you know, when a guy has a huge week. And it's always been like that, but I think it's more so now because there's more people rushing to buy those, and there's more people rushing to sell those. And so I think we're going to see that. As far as guys to put stock in, I know a lot of people are doing that with Kyler Murray. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not as high on him as many others are. A lot of people are putting money on Drew Lock. I'm sort of on the fence with him. I think his career is going to go based on what Denver surrounds him with, but he does have some weapons now, and so he's now doesn't have a lot of excuses as he takes the helm for the first time at the start of the year as a starter. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. I think, you know, another question I often get asked when it comes to football cards, will running backs and wide receivers finally be in more demand like quarterbacks are? And I think that's going to happen. It might be a slow process. I even think some defensive guys like Khalil Mack and those kind of guys, Aaron Donald, eventually, you know, their cards will have, they do have some value, but I think there's some uptick there when they eventually, towards the back end of their career, when people realize what a great career they had and first ballot Hall of Famers they most likely both are. And so I think you're going to see a little bit of an uptick across the board. I think running backs and receivers will close that gap between quarterbacks, and it's going to be fun. That's going to be fun to have hopefully a full season fantasy football for those of you that do that. Daily fantasy leagues for those of you that do that. And I think the football market is going to have a strong year. I think the rookie class, I don't think it's great. I think it's good. Obviously led, again, quarterback heavy with Tua, Herbert, and Burrow. And you got some other guys, Jordan Love, some people like. Jalen Hurts, some people like. I think it's a great wide receiver draft. I think you got, your CeeDee Lambs, Jerry Jeudy. You got even some lower prospects and Jalen Reagor and those type of guys. I think this draft's going to be known for its receivers more than anything. I do like Joe Burrow. I think being in Cincinnati is not the best situation, but we'll see. You never know. I think he's got that it factor. He's just one of those guys. I don't know how to explain it. Just gets it done. Tua, got to get over that injury bug. What does Miami do? Do they throw him right away inward to the Wolves, or do they let him learn behind a veteran? So a lot of questions. Drew Lock takes the helm for the first time. How long does Justin Herbert wait behind Tyrod Taylor? I'm not a Tyrod Taylor fan. If they think Justin Herbert's the future, then I think they go with him and don't delay him. But we'll see. A lot of questions. Running back wise, you got some good running backs. DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, who's battling with Marlon Mack in Indianapolis, and there's always some surprises. As we know with football, there's always injuries. You got a few guys opting out on the COVID terms, and then you always got injuries and surprise cuts. And so going to be a lot of young guys probably playing this year, second-year guys getting their first chance to start. And, that's what's going to happen. If Drew Lock early on tears it up and is throwing touchdowns left and right, 300 yards, and looking good, people are going to rush to those card markets and buy his stuff. And when that happens, those prices obviously increase. Another guy you want to keep an eye on, I think, for maybe an uptick is Josh Allen. I know his stuff has risen a little bit, but I think if he's got some weapons now in Buffalo, which isn't too far from here. They just gave him a big-time receiver in Stephon Diggs. And, his problem is accuracy. So if he can clean that up, and he's one of those guys I read that works on his game every offseason. And so if he can clean up that accuracy, now, he can throw the ball a country mile. That's no problem. And now he's got a guy going vertical down the field that can get under it. So if he can just get some touch and I know he's famed for his running. He's exciting to watch. Big boy at 6'5", can take those hits. But I don't think Buffalo wants him to continue to take those hits because he's always at a risk to be out of that game. And then, Matt Barkley's not the guy they want under center taking snaps. They want Josh Allen. And so, I think if he changes his game a little bit, and a little less running, works on his accuracy, he's a guy that can really surprise people and become a pretty decent, solid NFL quarterback. And again, his cards have room and there's more ceiling there. And so Barkley, Josh Jacobs, how's his career going to go in Oakland? So far, so good. But will his trajectory keep rising on the arc? And so a lot of questions, and we as a country love football in general, and it's going to really be a time where it's really going to be the only sport at full bore, barring any kind of COVID outbreak. And so, I think the football, I know that was the long answer, but I think football is in good position to take basketball's cue and have a very, very strong hobby year. Time to announce the winner of this week's $25 free break credit from One of One Card Shop. Thanks to Steve Chada for hooking the show up and in turn hooking you up. And so this week's winner is Nacho Nordberg, or screen name at PGN3540. At PGN3540, Nacho Nordberg. So if that's you and you're listening, reach out to us. We'll tell you what you need to do to collect your prize. If you don't reach out to us, we'll post publicly Saturday or Sunday and reach out to you. Congratulations, Nacho Nordberg. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way. The Star Stock selling platform is live and booming, quickly becoming the premier sports card marketplace. They aim to be the fastest, most efficient platform to buy or sell your cards. No insertion fees, they do all the work, cards are safely secure in their vault, and their 5% sales commission is one of the lowest in the industry. They are accepting rookie and prospect cards, and now also accepting graded cards. Go check them out at starstock.com. Well, that's going to be it for episode 92 of the Sports Card Nation. As always, let me start by thanking you, the listener. Without you, I would not be here in this seat getting to do what I love so much. I want to thank my guest, Mr. Ken Goldin, Goldin Auctions. Direct to the point. Very successful at what he does. He can afford to be direct and to the point. Something he said during the interview really struck a chord with me. I don't know if you picked up on it too. Is when I asked him about, the hobby, a potential crash or market correction, and a bubble bursting. And his answer, if you heard it, he said, "There's only going to be a correction if there's more sellers than buyers, and with all the new folks coming in the hobby, that isn't the case." So if, you've heard me defend the new folks of the hobby, it's why this hobby's doing so well. And if those new folks kind of stop coming in, that's where things will start trickling in a downward maybe trend or a plateauing or hitting the wall. And so, like he said, when there's more sellers than buyers, that's when things start to go the other way. Something to think about. I think he hit it right on the head. I thought about when he said it, and I thought about it more even after I wasn't on the phone with him anymore. I think that really cuts to the chase and gets right to the point. And we're always doing charts and analytics, but I think sometimes it's as simple, quite frankly, as that. And I think he's right. I agree with him. I concur. Again, thanks to Ken for coming on. As you can imagine, very busy, travels a lot to acquire those cards for his catalog, and made some time for us, and that's very cool. Want to say, check out the Hobby Hotline tomorrow if you're listening to the show at day of release. And I was supposed to be on that show, but unfortunately something came up that I cannot be on it. But three great people. You're going to have Drew Herndon from Let Me Get That Potograph, Brody the Kid, and Brad Bethune from Confessions of a Texas Card Dude. So all three of those, I'm going to try to call in. I'm not going to be home or exactly at the start time. So, but check out that we got a lot of new folks involved in the Hobby Hotline. Dr. Beckett, Rich Klein, Ziggy No, Eric Norton from Fat Packs, Brad Bethune, Stale Gum, Chris Harris, Brody the Kid, like I said, Leaf CEO, Brian Gray, Dub Mentality, Joey Shivers joining the show, Jeff Dinson, Deafness 45. All these folks are going to be hosting. You're going to see a lot of new people every week, and instead of the same old. You're only going to see me once a month or once or twice a month at the most, and got a lot of great podcasters, content creators that can bring all different outlooks to the table. Brody the Kid, 13 years old, going to be our kid representative, and so all facets of the hobby, young, old, and I think it's going to be great. Different perspectives, and the more the merrier. So stay tuned to Hobby Hotline 2.0, if you want to call it that. To me, it's really the same show with new folks. And again, Hobby Hotline's about you. You guys set the tone. You call in, you set the topics, and we riff from there. So with that being said, I'm going to call it a day. We'll see you next week. On next week's show, our guest is none other than SGC President Peter Steinberg. It will be one of 2-part episodes. So episode part 1 with Peter Steinberg will be next week, and the following week will be part 2. It is a long interview. I did not want to run it on one show, and so I wanted to put it on 2 shows and not cut anything out. And so there you go, Peter Steinberg, episode 93 and episode 94. And we ask him some of the listeners' questions that I asked, and we conversate about a lot of what's going on, especially in the grading card world. So that being said, we're going to see you in 7 days. Thank you. Take care. Be well. God bless you.
You've been listening to the Sports Card Nation podcast. Join host John Newman next week as he gives you another jam-packed episode of all things related to the sports card hobby. And a little extra fun, too. Don't forget to check out the show on Instagram at Sports Card Nation Podcast.